Hey, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a few weeks since I dropped my last video, but if you can't tell by my voice, I'm recovering from a pretty bad case of COVID. Luckily, I didn't have a respiratory issue, but I lost my voice. I lost the ability to not sleep. And so now I'm back. It's been a few weeks, but a lot has been done between my last video and today. And some of the things I'm going to talk about today and others, like what Yogi Mama is standing behind, is a surprise for a future video called Project CK. So for those of you who follow me on Instagram, that's where I normally put all of my latest updates. If you want to know what I'm talking about, be sure to follow me on Instagram, and I'll put my link right here so you can see where to find me. All right, so what are we doing today? Well, we've got to continue working on the interior of this car. A lot of the plastic, in fact, all of the plastic is chipped and worn. And for my 996 owners out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The plastic on this series car is terrible. It had that no skid, whatever material or plastic resin was sprayed on that plastic mold. It didn't last long. It peeled off with summer heat and it got really, really sticky. So I'm going to show you what I did to repair all of that, from the center stack to the little panels here on the doors, all the way to the center console. And I'm painting it in a whole new color. So that's where we're going with Project Pepper, my 2002 Porsche here, is we're going to start working on fine-tuning the interior. The engine, as you know, has been rebuilt and bored out to a 4-liter. I built it from scratch. So if you haven't seen that series, be sure to check that out. And right now, I'm all done with the welding, so it's now time to put everything back together. So let's start with repairing the plastic. I'm going to teach you a few things about painting plastic, and then I'm going to teach you a few things about how to weld plastic. So there's a lot of good little things in here to teach you. You can see what's going on here in Yogi's garage, and you might get a little hint on what the next project is. So with that, Project Pepper, interior resto mod, let's fix it.
But before I do anything, I cannot leave Yogi's garage like this. This is about a year and a half worth of grime and rust and grinding from the welding, all right here. Let's clean it up, mop the floors, get it ready for the next phase of the project. What do you say? All right, and there, much better. Now I can get it all dirty again. Well, I tell you what, it's good for the soul to get this thing clean. I mean, when you have a car that's sitting here for over a year on jacks, you got to clean all the baseboards all the way out too to get all this clean. Hey, luckily I had a bunch of purple power in my inventory from a past project. If you know what I'm talking about, leave a message. Yeah, all right, let's go play with the Porsche. Like this, for example, this is the seat belt trim on the back that goes right here. And yes, it goes right there. And yes, it's seen better days. And I'm on the fence between going black or silver on this. I think the silver, I think that goes over there. So I think the silver will look better like that. And it'll go with the center stack there that I plan on doing silver. So, something to think about. Like, I'm a bit unsure about some of this other trim. I don't even know where this goes. I think it goes somewhere, or that wear line there indicates that this is probably somewhere near the seat. But I got a couple of those. And then I have these vinyl pieces that, I mean, look at that. That is just nasty. This is the one that goes by the in the footwell by your knees. So this person, that is just gross, man. God, why are you like that? I know you're watching my videos. All right, I'm gonna try the spray painting technique on something small. So I wanna sand it down. I got myself an orbital sander here. It's brand new. You know how I am with tools. It was on sale and it's working great. It's using these little pads that I can rinse off. And I'm starting with 80 grit just to get it nice and smooth, and then I'll take it down to as low as I have and see what it looks like with the spray paint. I may actually have to smooth it out to like a 300 or so, but we'll see. So no, I didn't change my mind on the color, but I'm developing some weird cracking that I showed earlier that's not cracking, or scratches, I should say. It's cracking. And here, look, I've sanded it down. And it actually looks like it goes into the plastic, but that's not possible because when I sand it further, the scratches are not scratches. It's some kind of stress cracking going on right there. So what I decided to do is use Rust-Oleum a primer. And this is supposed to bond with plastic. And I think it's kind of working. Let me see if I can bring it in closer. So you can see the little bit of cracking or splitting in the paint right there. And you can see it in the glare. So I'm not sure what to do about it other than to fill it in. But if I keep filling it in, will it fix it? And I'm not sure if anything's going to be able to penetrate that paint after I'm done. I'm having to put layer upon layer of the primer paint to get those lines to fill in. It's been challenging, but it's working. So I'm going to keep doing it. Looks good though. All right, that did it. Coating it with the primer several times, got it to where I needed it, and then I put a coat on there. It's not perfect. There's still a little bit of lines there, but I think it's going to work for my use. And now I'm going to put a UV coat on this thing to make it really hardened, and then I can move on to the rest. But the panels are starting to look really good. You can see it's a nice metallic look. That's what I'm looking for. It's going to contrast really well with the rest of the car. Okay, we're up in Yogi's lair upstairs, and I needed to do some plastic welding. Like all of the old cars out there, some of the stuff is gonna break after a few years, and in this case 20 years, and a lot of it broke due to neglect and sun damage. This right here is the cover that goes on the infrared sensor right underneath your windshield on your dashboard. You can see that it's cracked completely apart. This one here is on the driver's side. That's where the power mirrors. So you can see that there's a significant crack right there that I want to fix as well. So there's a couple of ways you can do this. One of which is obviously using super glue. Not ideal in this situation because it's going to be exposed to a lot of heat, a lot of heat cycles. So it's just going to crack and come apart. The next thing you should consider is probably welding it. And what I mean by that is using hot staples. And if you've seen that, it looks like this. So the hot stapler looks a lot like the old-timey soldering guns. But the difference is that it has two ends here that you put these little stainless steel staples in. And it completes the circuit when you pull the trigger and makes this super hot. And then you can melt this directly into the plastic, without going too deep, and it reinforces it, and it makes it stronger actually than the plastic itself or super glue. And you snip off the little ends there, and that's it. So let's give it a go. Let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. All right, so we're just gonna plug in the staple there, and that's as far as it goes, like that. You can see I've already done a couple of them. I did my YouTube short based on that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do it right here on this crack, because there's a crack that goes right there. So what you do is you just place it. All right, I'm going to drop this staple right on the crack. Just set it down like that. And then you pull the trigger, and it's going to happen in seconds. And what you don't want to do is go all the way through. So pull the trigger. Make sure it's ventilated. And then when you don't see it anymore, go ahead and let go. Toxins. Wait till it finishes drying, then pull it up. All right, and the good thing about this is that it doesn't go through as long as you don't make it go through. And note that it doesn't melt through. And since I'm painting this, I'll use a primer to fill this in, or hell, even Bondo. Just a little skim coat right there to that it hides the crack, and it'll be good as new. I have a tinier one here, and this kit that I got came with several different styles. And I'll put the hot stapler down in my affiliate link below, so that if you like it, you can click on the link and buy it through that link, and it helps support the channel. I get like a couple of pennies. Somebody on my channel bought the little multi-tool kit, and I think I got 12 cents. So thank you for your business. The more the merrier. It's a really good tool. I'm going to use the skinnier one on this crack right here and go diagonal across it. All right, what you're looking at here is the front fascia on the center stack. And I ordered this from eBay a couple of years ago, and the seller was like, oh yeah, it's in perfect shape. No broken tabs or anything, and I get it. And there's a broken tab. All right, so I need to hot staple this guy here and somehow fix that. You can see the crack there. I might be able to use the real skinny staple. Let's see. All right, I think that will work. I don't know if you can see that. Yep. So there is the staple. Let me get the light on. And you can see it's not very deep, and that was deliberate, because if you go any deeper than that, you're probably going to come out the other side. But look how strong that is. I don't even think I need to put another one on the other side, but I'm going to. I think the biggest challenge is to sand or grind that staple flush so that it doesn't interfere with fitment. But you can also see there's a piece of plastic missing here as well. But all in all, it will hold. So let's finish it. All right, and finished. I decided to do the other end, no big deal. It did not go through. Let's take a look to make sure I say that. Yep, it did not go through. So what's left? Well, this is not going in black. I'm gonna color it silver as well, but you can see it has a few little scuff marks and just wear marks from daily use. And this is that rubber crap. Look at that. So I got to take all of that off with sandpaper and get it nice and smooth before painting. And then it's going to look pretty good. All right, I went ahead and sanded this front console here down off camera using an 80 grit and my little 90-degree orbital sander there, and it worked out great. You can see there's still some of that little residual rubber stuff. That's what's showing up as shiny. So I'll hit it a little bit further, but overall, it looks really good. The next step would be to use a 180 grit and then keep smoothing it out until you're happy. I go to the steel wool right there, and it takes it down to a nice luster, and the paint does the rest. So I'm going to finish this up, and we'll put the first coat on. I'm really looking forward to seeing what this is going to look like when it's finished. All right, I'm just about wrapped up with all the sanding. And yes, believe it or not, this is the same piece that goes on where the infrared sensor is right there in the middle. And yeah, that was gray. It just took a lot of sanding. But also note that, I'm trying to pinch zoom this right here. I'm not sure what I would plan on accomplishing by doing that. Let's try it this way. Note the crack here. So this is the one that we worked on earlier where I welded it closed. And you can see the work there. It's fantastic. It did a great job. What I want to do now is fill in the crack, and so that it won't show up when I'm painting. I think the best way to do that is just to use some super glue, fill it in. Once it's dried and cured, sand it flat, move on. Let's see what that does. And there. Yeah, I think that's going to work out pretty well. I put a lot on there, as you can see, but the whole point, again, is to fill in the crack, and then I use some 80 grit or 120 and just nice and flat. As far as the other pieces, I've already completed the first round of sanding. It's really rough right now, but basically I got all of the crappy 90s, early 2000 plastique stuff that they add to the plastic molding to give it that texture, blah, blah, blah. This here as well. Or some of these are in the lower knee area. Others are panels. I don't even know where some of this goes, to be honest. But it doesn't matter. I'm gonna do the 120 now on all of this, and then use my wire wool to smooth it all out, and then we'll paint it. But check out where we stand on the front console. So I just finished, I think, the final coat, and man, does that look awesome. Really awesome. I'm not really worried about the flaking right there because there will be covers on there and then blanks will come in through here. But look at that. And I haven't even done the UV clear coat, so we still got to get that done. So over here are the pieces that are ready to go back in the car, ready to go. They look fantastic. Look at those buckles, man. You still see the lines there. I'm not entirely pleased, but we'll see what it looks like. If I have to do it again, I'll do it again. It's not that hard. This area goes on the side of the car seat. I think this one does as well. These are sitting over here because they still need to be clear coated. This is the first part of the center console. So the center console is a wreck. You can just see it. It is disgusting. So I'm going to have to do the same thing I've done already for everything else, is sand it all down and then paint it. But I won't be painting this armrest. In fact, I may actually replace it. It's so nasty. Those pads come off. So just this area here and the front console, but that's what it's going to look like right there. And it's going to sit right there, and the other half is right there. So I got to take that out as well and get that sanded. But yeah, it's coming together, and I have to complete the dyeing here on this. So it's a lot of work. All right, so this is the last piece, and the super glue idea worked. You can see that the crack is mostly filled in. I just need to take the surface down a little bit, but really I don't need to really worry about it. Up here, right there where the other crack was, look at that. That's pretty good. So again, that was the hot staple. And then super glue just to smooth out the crack. All right, and what I'm also doing here is I am putting a thin coat of white primer on it. The reason being, you don't have to do it, but the reason why I'm doing it is because it basically puts a skim coat on the plastic and kind of covers up all of the imperfections. Yes, the silver paint could also do that, but I think it would add some unnecessary light and depth, and I think that's what we're seeing in some of the earlier pieces. But spray painting it white's going to give it a nice smooth surface, and then putting that silver paint right on top of that should give me the appearance that I'm looking for. Yeah, and this is what I'm referring to. If you can see, it's a nice smooth base coat, and it's going to give me a really nice silver look without any micro scratches or any imperfections showing through. But I'm going to hit this with my steel wool first just to give it a little bit of texture, and then we'll knock it out. And then here is this last piece that I'm going to spray with white. All right, it's time. Yes, it's time to tackle this thing. Now, some of you might be saying to yourself, Yogi, why don't you just put this thing out of its misery and go get a used one online? Well, that's a good idea, although these things are not cheap. This is probably the way that I want it would be between $400 to $800 depending on the condition. And when I say depending on the condition, think about it for a moment, right? These things are 20 plus years old and oftentimes are just neglected and abused and just used. And we all know that this stuff was not the best that Porsche can do and had done up to that point. But hey, man, it was the early 2000s. Times were tough. Porsche was about to go under. They did what they had to do to stay in business, so we can't fault them for that. But what we can do is fix some of the problems that they inflicted on their customers by getting this material off the center console. And this material here is basically really soft and sticky when it heats up, and you can see it just doesn't do well with abuse. So like the other pieces that I am reconditioning, I'm using the Duplicolor vinyl fabric with the UV protection on top of it to harden it. Is it the best that you can use? I don't know. But it looks really good. You guys have seen the results. And to be honest, anything is better than this. Come on. I put a lot of time, as you guys know, into this car. And at this point, I'm not cutting any corners. By the way, I got my other sun visor. So cool. All right. I got to take this thing apart and, kill it with fire or something to get some of this crud out of here. And take apart the components here, especially the whole hatch here. This is not going to get painted. I mean, this material here, I may be able to find an armrest replacement and get one that's nice, like maybe the Porsche crested one that's leather. I mean, how much is that? As much as the car? Probably. All right, let's get it going. So I think the first thing I want to do here is take this lock out of here. All right, I got this thing flipped over. The lock is out. Everything is going great. I had to take this thing off. However, this latch is tethered with a fabric safety tether. I don't even know how to describe it, but you can see it right there. See if I can focus in there. Yeah, there. The thing has a bar that it's behind this hinge, so I got to just get my little mechanics pick in there and pull that thing out. You just need to pull the pin out of the tether, and that's it. And if you would just cooperate, I could demonstrate. All right, 2 hands again. All right, now that the pin is out and I've got the lid taken off, I want to get these pads off. These are vinyl. They snap in using these little clips, but I have a rough history with these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit them with a little WD-40 or a little PB blaster and just let them sit. I'm going to go grab a beer and then we'll come back and see what they look like. All right, I've got the center console cleaned as much as I want to clean it. It's pretty clean though. So now I just got to sand it. But like I told you before, I popped these side panels off so it's less than you think. So just the tops here, the curved part, anything that's exposed here, I'm going to spray paint the inside. And yeah, that should do it. And then, of course, the control panel here needs to be done. But I figured I'd knock this out. This is some thick stuff here. So let's see. All right, I'm pausing for a second just to kind of give you an idea of the progress that I'm making. It's been about 15, 20 minutes, and I'm using an 80 grit on this triangle sander, and you can see I'm losing a lot of my grit. It's some kind of weird mesh metal thing from Milwaukee. It works great, except that I tear through them pretty quick when I'm doing plastic. But it looks good. I got to get it down past at least the scratches here. This looks like a burn or something. I may have to fill that in. But again, I'm gonna do the same thing where I'm gonna do a skim coat to get it nice and smooth, and then we'll put the silver on it. And there's a lot of abuse here. And one of the things that's a nice feature of this triangle sander is that it includes a sponge here that helps contour the sanding pad into this area here. It's working great. It's just, very thick, and I've got a respirator on to protect my lungs, as you saw in the video. So I'm going to keep going, and I want to get this all the way down to the bare plastic. All right, I think I'm done with the first pass, and you can see that most, if not all, of that layer is off. There's a few little light spots here, the texture that they put on there. I'll knock that out. But I did all this with that triangle sander, as I said, and 80 grit. So I'm going to come back with 180, smooth it out, and then steel wool it for primer. Then I'll bring you back. All right, I'm ready to put the primer coat on. I'm going to do exactly what I did before and put the skim coat on so that it can fill in some of the scratches and gouges that are pretty deep, and also some of it that's caused by the sandpaper itself. I've used the steel wool on it too, but I'm just going to put a base coat on it, and I'll keep adding the coat until I'm satisfied with the smoothness, because this piece is going to be the centerpiece literally for the whole car, so it needs to be perfect. Okay, first coat complete, no big deal. Used up all my spray cans, so now I gotta get some more. But you can see what I'm trying to accomplish here is to just layer on the thick primer paint and then put the silver on top of that. And I think I'm gonna go silver on the inside of the glove of the armrest box too. And mainly because I already sprayed it. But it's looking good. More paint. All right, I think I'm at a good point where I can start spray painting this the proper color. I've got 2 good coats of primer on it, and in the sun it looks really good. So I think I'm ready. Get my, and I'll do a thin coat like I did before, so I just don't like that little scratch right there. I may have to sand that a little bit more. But, you know, the surface areas is really what I'm concerned with. The areas where your arm's gonna rest or what you're gonna see needs to be pretty darn smooth. And that's what I'm aiming for. All right. Wow, this came out a lot better than I expected it to. It is very nice. Very little surface scratches, except things that I inflicted myself with my gloves that I'll have to sand down. But I think the base coat is good. I'm gonna go ahead and take this in after it dries for a little bit longer. And I put a fingerprint right there and a little bit of dripping, but it doesn't matter because I'm gonna sand it down and do one more thin coat, and then I'm gonna do a clear coat on top of that. But I mean, come on, that looks really good. All right, let's keep going. All right, the final piece of the puzzle, the last of the spray painting is going to be done right here. This is the control panel for your windows and your ashtray, and there's a light that I broke trying to get it out. So I'll have to get a new one for that, but I'm going to go ahead and get the primer coat on this thing, and then we'll silver it up. I can't believe I'm actually starting to put the trim pieces back together. I'm getting ready to put this piece right here for the mirror controls. And then I'm gonna work my way towards the center and get the center display in place. It's happening, folks. All right, I've got the blanks in, no big deal. You got it. When you do them, be sure that you do the top one, you hook it in first and then you push it down. That way you can get past the tabs and you're not forcing it. But there you go, the blanks are in. The other ones are right here. I just gotta remember which one's which. I think I know the orientation of these. I just got to recall, a little screenshot from Google. That should help me. And then we'll get it connected. It's going to look good. Here we go. All right, I'm prepared to put the active switches in, and I wanted to show you the orientation that I'm doing it. That way you make it easier on yourself. And you should start at the bottom and then work your way up. I think that's the best way to do it. That way you're not affecting the angle of the insertion. Hello, because if you put this one in first and it's all the way in, then you can't put this one in at an angle, okay? So do this one at the bottom, and you can see there's 2 little tabs. Then you got to get them. And then you got to get them below the tabs like that. And you hear it click. And then it's in place like that. See? And it'll hook into those two tabs. Just keep doing it all the way up. All right, I'm going to use two hands. All right, and there, look at that. You know, it's not OEM, but I think it looks really good. But only time will tell if I put enough protection on it. If it gets gouged or scratched really easy, it's back to the drawing board. So who knows? But this is what it looks like now. All right, and there. It's in. It held up pretty well. I'm pretty sure it'll have to go back and get some more of the protection on it, but I wanted to get it fitted and to see how delicate it was, and it's not that delicate, and I think it looks phenomenal. Here's a picture of what it looked like in the car when I got it, and now look, this is what it looks like now. Yes, this all needs to be cleaned up, but believe it or not, this is melted. And some folks who have cabriolets are probably nodding their heads going, yep, that's very common. The panel actually works. I got to find the passcode for that. But the panel actually works. The blower, everything works. There's no AC because there's a kinked line underneath. But anyway, look, it looks so much better. And then I've got that set up there. It's going to have to be redone, but I wanted to fit it so that you can see what it looks like. It's all coming together. All right, it's time to put the final piece of the interior in, and I say final, I don't know what else is left in there, but the most important, the center console. It's not perfect. There's a little bit of imperfections right here, but for the sake of the presentation tomorrow and it not looking like crap in the middle, I think this needs to go in now. So let's go ahead and do it. I'm gonna put the pieces back on, get the elbow armrest in, the pads, the panels, get it in. All right, I found another broken piece here, and I thought I'd take this opportunity to show you guys one more time how to fix this without using glue. And you do this. And the trick is here, get the camera on there, right there. Just to place it where you want it. Superheat. Let it melt in, let go, let it cool. And then pull. And that'll hold it. I love this thing. Okay, it's ready. I'm not gonna put the panels on until I get it fitted in the car. I'm pretty sure that when I took the center console out, I had to take the panels off to get to some screws. But we'll see. If I don't, I'll put it back in. Here we go. I think to make my life easier, I'm going to take the top down and take that stick shift out, and then it should just go right in. Let's do it, man. All right, I'm just about finished here. I've got it all screwed in. This thing is really easy to take in and out, by the way, guys. So if you ever need to do this, if you ever want to refinish it like I did, I'm going to try out Plastidip, by the way. So I'm not completely sold on just doing the paint and UV protection. But nevertheless, it's really easy. There's a bolt here. There's a screw here. And then I believe there's either 2 or 3, maybe 4 inside the armrest compartment. And that's it. Everything else is just, you got to snake it in and out. You got to take the handbrake off of its base to snake the thing around. And that's it. So now what I want to do is put in the controls. Look how good that looks. All right, so white is driver, black is passenger. All right, first time this is going in. Look at that. Dang, man. That looks so good. Ashtray in. Yeah, man. Oh, last but not least. Click, click. Oh, look at that. Oof. And then the bat wing. If we had heated seats or vented seats, this is where those buttons would go. go. All right, we're gonna get this panel on. Pretty straightforward. It just clicks into place all the way around. There. Ooh, that looks good. All right, and now this panel here in the back. Easy. This one here. Look at that.
Wow, this all looks really good. I just hope it stands the test of time. But again, only time will tell whether or not the daily use of this plastic will wear off quickly or not. And again, I'm still evaluating Plastidip, so I may still have something in store for us on that. So what's next for Project Pepper? Well, I gotta take care of the carpeting in this car. As you know, this car came pretty much standard in a gray interior, but I'm gonna mix it up and I'm gonna go with a black gray interior. So without looking at the work that I'm doing over here, because that's for a future video, even though the work has already been done, be sure to stick around for that in my next video, and I promise I'll be dropping my videos more often. So be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Yogi's Garage.